Happy Friday, everybody. Let's have some fun, shall we? Today on the Locked On Predators podcast, it's Takes from a Hat. Ann and I have each put hot topics and questions about the Nashville Predators and the NHL into a hat. One at a time, we're going to draw one and quiz the other for their take on it. It's a great way to kill some time on a Friday, folks. That's coming up today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day, every single day. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor at ontheforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel.
All right. Before we get too much further, let's mention today's show brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports, and they have you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Ann, we're bringing back a classic for a Friday.
Love it.
It's Takes from a Hat. So basically, for those of you who missed the first time we did this, basically what Ann and I have done is we have taken little sheets of paper. We have written, I'm sure you know what the process looks like, but I'm going to act it out for you anyway.
It's good.
We've written down questions about the Nashville Predators. Some of these might be like strictly on ice game hockey related. Some of these might be fun. Some of these might be off the wall. Like, who do you think Philip Forsberg's favorite flavor of ice cream is? Or who was the Predator most likely to buy a ticket to see BTS in concert? Something like that. I don't have either of those.
Ryan Johansson, but go ahead.
I would have said Phil Tomasino.
I know he was, yeah,
the child of the group.
Bless.
But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what we're doing. We're gonna draw these at random throughout the hat, one at a time. So yeah, lots of chaos, lots of fun opinions coming up, Ann.
Oh, it's gonna get spicy. But speaking of chaos, can we just touch really quick on the sorrowful subject of the Friday? The topic of which we do not want to speak, the Voldemort of the NHL for the Nashville Predators. Philip Joseph Kessel Jr., why are you wronging us?
Did you look up his middle name just for this bit?
I saw it and I thought if ever there was a time to middle name Phil Kessel, it's this morning. What are you doing? Phil Kessel going to the Vegas Golden Knights, crushing the spirits of Nick and Ann, who have been nothing if not supportive. Whatever, Phil. Like, I'm eating the cookies I baked you all by myself.
We'll get over it in time.
Will we?
Maybe.
My invisible backpack of hockey grudges just made room for Phil Kessel.
I mean, but what was he gonna come to Nashville at this point? Who have like $2 million worth of cap space?
What? I'm sorry. Did he not sign a contract for $1.5 million? I mean, I'm not like a mather.
I mean,
but
yes.
Come on, Phil.
Yeah, but then the Predators have like $500,000 in cap space left, and then they become.
But their shopping is done. Their shopping is done.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
I understand.
Crusher.
I mean, I guess in terms of this team doesn't have cap space in them, I guess going to the Vegas Golden Knights is a bad example for me to use, but
perhaps.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe, hopefully we're on like not on his no trade list. So
I know.
Stuff goes haywire for Vegas.
If he wants to make amends.
Yeah. I like that signing for Vegas though. I really do. I think that's some cheap depth scoring. It seems like everybody's opinion on Phil Kessel at this point is either, wow, this is going to be a great move, or like, Vegas, what are you doing? You're trash. And there's like no in between.
Yeah, I think that's going to be true of Vegas this season, though. I think they're either going to be very competitive or wah with Vegas. I don't think there's going to be a lot of in between.
No.
Hopefully. So, all right.
I feel like that's
setting that. Let's just shelve the sorrow. It's Friday.
And shelve the sorrow, bring on the sorrows.
Oh, look what I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. That was good.
You want me to lead us off, Ann?
All right, let's do it.
All
Pick
right.
an easy one. It's early.
Pick an easy one. It's early. All right.
It's early.
Here is our first take from a hat.
Let's do it.
Here's a good one.
Oh, no.
The Locked On hosts voted the Preds to finish 4th in the Central Division.
True.
Do you think that's too low, too high, or exactly right?
Yes, they did. So Locked On just published their Central Division prediction rankings, and the Predators were 4th. Here's what I will tell you as somebody who voted. I think they got it just right. I do. Of course, injuries can always throw a monkey wrench in rankings. That's kind of, for me, the biggest factor. But I do think that the Predators are gonna hit right around 4th. I think they're gonna have to work for a good playoff spot. But I think that's right. You know, obviously you've got Colorado ahead of them. St. Louis ahead of them, Minnesota ahead of them for me, and then the Predators.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm not 100% convinced of Minnesota really being ahead of them at this point either. You know, I feel like they're kind of, especially losing Kevin Fiala. I mean, they have Karl Kaprizov, who's maybe one of the 10 best players in the NHL right now. But, you know, to me, I still think there's maybe more question marks on that team than there are in the Nashville Predators right now. So, you know, I voted Nashville 4th too, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'm putting them 4th just kind of based on merit, but I could also see them in Minnesota being flipped.
Yes.
Our friend Dane Lewis over at Locked On Stars did not like the fact that the Stars were ranked below the Nashville Predators. He definitely made a stink about it online and then
yes.
So
bless Dane. Love Dane. We're not that great about the Dallas Stars, but no, I really do feel like that's where Nashville's going to fall. Here's what I will say though. I think Nashville has the potential to be, I think they've added some pieces that could potentially lead to a better season than a lot of people are predicting.
Yeah.
Again, you just never know. But no, I feel like that's just right. That's just right.
I think if things go very, very right this year, I can see the Predators finish like 3rd, maybe even as high as 2nd. We'll have to see. Also, for anybody who wants to, on theforecheck.com, our friend Rachel Kay wrote a very, very good article kind of tackling this exact same subject. She actually had the Predators 3rd. So if you want to go to ontheforecheck.com and check that out, do that as well.
Yep.
All right, Ann.
All right, here we go.
Get it on me.
Picking out of my Craig Smith designed hat. You're welcome.
Was it the Craig Smith designed hat?
It is the Craig Smith designed hat.
I don't know.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
No, mine says on the inside, see, Craig Smith.
Oh.
I know. And he did a great job. If hockey doesn't work out, fashion could be his thing.
We'll put it right on the fridge.
There you go. All right. So if this is an easy one, this is just, this is a Friday question. If the Nashville Predators were no longer allowed to be the Predators, what would you call the franchise?
Oh, am I allowed to keep the logo?
Absolutely. If you want to, you can do whatever you want to. You ain't lost.
No. Thank you. Thank you for that motivational pep talk. I'm going back to like the Ice Tigers. Wasn't that like I think one of the original finalists for the team name was Ice Tigers.
Oh,
because remember they had the logo before they had the name.
Huh.
It was like
that's interesting.
Yeah. And I think there wound up being like either a youth team or something like that called the Ice Tigers for that reason.
I like that.
Yeah, because the logo kicks ass. Like keep the logo.
Yes.
Ice Tigers, maybe like Sabertooth or something like that.
I love Ice Tigers though. That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like kind of generic. But I mean, I guess there's a Golden Knight, so
yeah. And here's what's real. Never before and never again will there be a better franchise name than the Seattle Kraken. Like, that's a bar too high. But I like Ice Tigers.
Have you heard the story about what the Colorado Avalanche owners wanted to call the Avalanche when they relocated from Quebec?
No, I don't think so.
The Rocky Mountain Extreme. Let that one marinate for a second.
Okay.
The Rocky Mountain Extreme, man.
Hard pass.
We've seen the Rocky Mountain Extreme win the Stanley Cup this past year.
We were just swept by the Rocky Mountain Extreme.
It was definitely extreme. That is
it
for
was.
Sure. All right. We're going to get some more takes from a hat in a second. I got some juicy ones in here for you that I definitely want to see. But first, want to mention today's show brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. As we mentioned earlier, betonline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check out all of your betting needs. You can find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. You can find news and reviews of every single league, Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, and NHL getting started, combat sports, esports, even golf. In fact, they just actually put out a bunch of new futures and lines for this year's NHL season. I guess not lines, but just futures and stuff like that, predictions. So there's a good way if you want to go ahead and get in on the action right now. Go ahead and do it. They also continue to be your top online resource for all of your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. So head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening right now. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, Ann, let's continue with takes from a hat.
All right.
Here we go. Let's see if we get a hockey one or a fun one. Oh, are you ready for a hot take?
Okay.
I kind of didn't want this one early. I kind of wanted this one at the end, but still.
You can table it. It's our show. Like, we make the rules.
Let's save this one.
Okay.
Okay.
That's only a little bit terrifying.
Okay. Here's another one.
Okay.
Oh, here's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't a fan of the Nashville Predators, what NHL team would you cheer for and why?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. What team would I cheer for and why? I can tell you it would definitely not be the Pittsburgh Penguins, having grown up around Penguins fans. Love the people, weird fan base. Team I would cheer for and why. I know I just said how much I love the Seattle Kraken. Mm-hmm. I would say I do. I love their franchise name. I love their jerseys. I kind of like the scrappy, like upstart, even though it was painful last season. So I can say Seattle Kraken would be up there. And probably Seattle and see. Yeah. This one could change, and I hate to say it, but it's just what's real. Montreal.
And why Montreal? Because I feel like that is a very that everybody's like, oh.
Yeah, I know. It's been around a while. It's old school. And I know I'm an American, but there's something about a Canadian hockey team, and also like Rem Pitlick. So there is a part of me that does not miss Montreal Canadian games. And maybe, yeah. So probably them. Probably Seattle for sure. Like deep in my heart, like you can't help but love that franchise. So Seattle for sure, but a little bit Montreal. I don't know. What about you? Who's your backup?
Well, I'm also excluding Detroit in this because obviously that's, team 1A and all that gets, or 1A, 1B, whichever one you have it. It's hard not to say Seattle also, just because like at this point they're like the newest team, and they have some good people in their front office. That's kind of exciting, and the you have Matty Berniers and Shane Wright coming up this
Yes.
season, and that's going to be a fun kind of 1-2 center combo to watch. I feel like, if this was like one of those things where this was like 10 years ago and I had to pick a team, God.
I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, like Washington Capitals.
Really?
This was like well before this is before they got like not worked by Pittsburgh finally in a playoff series. But I love Alexander Ovechkin as a player. They're kind of like a fun team. Jerseys are pretty sweet. I love like the old school like red and blue look. Yeah, I would like Washington Capitals. I think back to like the 10 years where it was like Ovi, Backstrom, and like Mike Green, and that was like the dynamic trio in the NHL.
Yeah.
Capitals, I'd say that's a good one.
I think it's hard.
Here.
What's that?
There could be worse teams to pick out there. So
100%. I think it's tricky with free agency, and I felt this way, especially in the NFL, but even in the NHL, like it's hard. Like you have to be in it to pick a team and just go. Like I tend to find players and kind of follow the players and their teams, but I think it's a little bit tricky with free agency you've got to be okay with like sunshine and rain if you're just sticking with a team because it all changes like sands through the hourglass. Those are the dates of our lives. All right, Nick, picking out of the hat. Let's get a good one here. Or let's just get one.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, Total Friday Fluff one. What nickname would you give head coach John Hynes? Don't say Hynesy.
I feel like Hynesy was disqualified. Silver Surfer.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to elaborate.
Yeah, that's Fantastic Four. Like
right.
That's because he's got like the bald head and look is that like that stern face on his face the whole time. Like that stern.
He does have a little bit RBF.
Yeah.
He does.
Maybe RBF should be his name.
Which is funny because I really think he's probably just, we've seen glimpses of him being actually extremely engaging.
Oh, I love
But
John
he does
Hynes.
have RBF.
Yeah. I love John
Hynes.
Like I love John Hynes. He just has a little bit of RBF. The Silver Surfer, like he's got the look. Like if you were like in the locker room and he just like did like the glare. Like, wouldn't you be terrified if you were a Nashville Pred?
100%.
No.
100%. No, that's a good one.
What did you have in mind for that one?
Anything but Hynesy. Biggest pet peeve in hockey, be better with the nicknames. Be better, people. I love Matt Duchene. I will defend Matt Duchene's honor to the death, but stop with the Hynesy, Matthew. Be better than that. You are more clever. John Hynes deserves better. Hockey players in general do better with the nicknames.
Yeah.
That's my PSA for today. Yeah.
Let's see. All right. What else we got?
Make it an easy one.
I'll do my best. Who will finish with more points in 2023? Eeli Tolvanen with the Preds or Luke Kunin with the Sharks?
Oh, that's just mean. First of all, that is petty AF, and I am actually here for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, and not because we are the Locked On Predators podcast, but I am going to say Eeli Tolvanen with the Predators. Because I think it's going to be rough going for the San Jose Sharks. Like, I think just overall that team is going to struggle. And I feel like Eeli Tolvanen won't have 2 seasons back to back this rough. Like, I really do feel like he's going to work his way out of this and he's going to get put in a position where he's going to be able to do a little bit better. So I'm going Eeli Tolvanen, Nashville Predators. And best of luck to Luke Kunin. But I don't know. What do you think? That's a great question. I think that's a great question.
I think Luke Kunin is going to get probably more consistent playing time in San Jose. And the thing, I'm like a little worried about Eeli Tolvanen because he started being a healthy scratch down the stretch for the Predators. And it kind of gave me like the indication of maybe John Hynes isn't like a huge fan of his game. And now that you have, Nino Niederreiter on the roster to kind of take Kunin's spot, you have Zach Sanford coming in. If Eeli Tolvanen doesn't win the job on that second line, like, is there a consistent place for him? I think that's the $1 million question right now. So yeah, I would say like if things go right, like if Eeli Tolvanen has a bounce back year and has a good year, definitely Tolvanen. But at the same time, it's like, ooh, I can kind of see Luke Kunin being on the ice more this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that. But I think even Eeli Tolvanen, even if he doesn't get that second line spot, I would hate for him to end up on the fourth line. But if that happens, I think he's a good fourth line guy. Like, he's proven his physicality. And if he can get some offense going again, like maybe that would be a good depth piece for the Predators. But yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. But I'm still going to say Eeli. I believe in Eeli Tolvanen.
Okay.
I do. All right.
Ringing endorsement.
Well, it is what it is. Oh, okay. You have figured out how to fit in a suitcase and can stow away to either Bern, Switzerland or Prague, Czech Republic to see the Predators play. Which city are you going to stow away to and why?
Bern,
Can't do both.
Bern, Switzerland.
Really?
Well, Switzerland's on my bucket list.
You haven't been there?
I was there kind of. It was a 12-hour layover, but it was an overnight layover when I was actually just coming back from Greece. I stayed in Zurich, and I was like super, like the way like the whole travel thing shook out. Like I didn't have like time or energy to really go out and explore. I just kind of went to the airport hotel and went to bed. That was like such a tease because I was like, this has been on my bucket list. And even like in the day, like in the morning, I like looked outside like the window and I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Switzerland's been on my bucket list forever.
See, we should have just gotten credentialed for that preseason stuff in Bern and we could have just gone. Would have been great.
We could have made a nice little trip out of it.
That would have been great. Yeah. No. We have a good friend that lives in Bern, Switzerland. So I am going to get there at some point and stay with Peter Berger. But I would go back to Prague in a heartbeat. We had an 18-hour layover in Prague and I spent about 17 hours and 20 minutes sightseeing. And it's the most incredible place I've ever been. So people, if you can go to Prague, go to Prague. It's incredible. I'm so excited for the team.
Yeah.
All right, we've got more scenes from a hat coming up in just a minute, including the one that Nick set aside that's a little bit terrifying to me, but it's going to be great. So we're going to finish up scenes from a hat in a minute, but first I want to talk to you about drive sober or get pulled over. It can happen so easily. You're out with your friends, you're out with your coworkers, you're putting back a few drinks, watching a game, having a great time. A few drinks slowly becomes a few too many. It's time to go. And for a minute, you think about calling an Uber, calling a ride, but then you're like, nah, I'm a good driver. I live nearby. I can make it home okay. I don't want to have to come back and get my car tomorrow. What are the odds you'll get pulled over? And even so, like, what's the worst that can happen? You might lose your license. You could lose your job. You could total your car, or you could kill someone. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Play it safe, plan ahead, and get a ride. Drive sober or get pulled over.
All right. More takes from a hat, and there's two.
All right.
Let's see.
Okay.
One, I remember the other one besides the big one, and that is fun.
Okay. The big one.
Let's see what you get. Yep, you get the big one.
Right. Okay.
All right. An opinion you hear a lot from Preds fans is that their cup run in 2017 was a fluke.
Mm.
Do you think it was a fluke, or do you think the Preds just regressed as a team?
Oh my gosh, you really just went for it there.
Yeah.
You do hear that all the time in Nashville that it was just a fluke. Here is what I will say about that. Yes and yes. I because there is an element of a Stanley Cup run. There is an element of a Stanley Cup win that is a little bit intangible, of things like timing, of things like injury, of things like depth. So there is sort of this intangible element that you have to have when you go into a deep Stanley Cup run. And I think the Nashville Predators had that. They peaked at the right time. They did have some big injuries, but they also had guys who were able to come in, step up, play NHL minutes, and play them effectively. Was that a hit it out of the park roster? Is that the best roster that the Nashville Predators have ever had? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But do I think it was a fluke? No, I don't necessarily think it was a fluke. I think it was a good roster, a solid roster. I think it was very good timing. I think it was depth. But no, I do, because, well, you think about it, the next season they won the President's
They won
Cup.
the President's Trophy, right? They were the best team in hockey.
Yeah, the President's Trophy. So it's very hard to say, oh, it was just a fluke. Well, lightning struck twice, just didn't happen to hit the Stanley Cup. So no, I wouldn't say that it's a fluke, but I would say that certain things made it more possible for the Predators to be successful in 2017. And I'm telling you, I really do think out of all of the championships and all of the sports, there is an element of magic that you have to almost have, an intangible thing you have to have for the Stanley Cup. But no, I would not say it's a fluke.
No,
Would
I
you?
agree. No, I agree.
Okay.
Because not only did they win the President's Trophy the next year, the year after that, they still won the Central Division. So it's not like, some of these teams like Montreal last year or Dallas the year before, where they get to the Stanley Cup final and then the next year, just like with mostly the same roster. I mean, Montreal didn't have Carey Price or Shea Weber, so I think that kind of hurt. But the next year with more or less the same roster, they just fall off a cliff and, in some cases don't even make the playoffs. Nashville has been able to, after that same relative roster with a few improvements even won the President's Trophy. They were the best team in hockey, were Central Division champs the next year. And then the year after that was, I think, the weird COVID year, but they were, if that season had ended normally, the Predators were starting to pick up in the second half of the year under John Hynes. So there's a good chance that they, could have been, a 3 seed in the Central, maybe just a tough wild card team. So yeah, I don't think it was a fluke. I agree with you. I do think there were some things that kind of helped, that things just sort of always fell right.
I would agree with that.
But it's not like there were just like weird bounces that went the Preds way. Like, I mean, they had some players step up and like absolutely take it to other teams.
Yes. No, I would agree with that.
It helped that year.
Plus what?
Having Pekka Rinne helped that year too. Good goalie can
good goalie goes a long way. Yeah. Does. All right, let me give you one more here, and then we'll tackle the one you set aside, which is terrifying. But
that was the one I set aside.
Oh, was it? That's a great one. Okay.
I thought it was going to be like too like fire. Okay.
No.
Well,
when we're right, we're right.
Well, now we built that up for nothing.
Okay. Well, here's a good one. Okay. You magically have the ability to combine one element from 3 different Preds players' games to create a super hockey soldier. What is your killer combination?
Oh. This is interesting. Is it like kind of like physical traits or like
And it could be physical traits. It could be on ice abilities, like, part of like their game.
Let's see. Okay, I think I got it.
Okay.
I would take Roman Yossi's skating, Mikhail Granlund's vision.
Gosh, yes. Come on.
And Philip Forsberg's shot.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I feel like that's a super player right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's impressive. Now, I will say this. I think Roman Josi he's pretty close to that.
Yeah, you could also just say Roman Josi for all three and just say, you know what, just give me Roman Josi.
Just give me 3 Roman Josis with a side of Mikhail Granlund would be,
Or 2 Roman Josis and Tanner Jeannot's fighting ability.
Yes. Yeah. See, I would include that. I would include Tanner Jeannot's toughness, his sass, his all of that. Mikhail Granlund's vision, 100%. I don't think there's anybody that reads the ice as well as Mikhail Granlund on this roster. And Philip Forsberg's shot. Combine all that and then put it with Roman Josi.
Yeah, I feel like we got something here.
I mean, we're making magic.
All right, I got one more.
All right,
for you. And
okay.
I do know what this one is. This should be a good one to end on.
Okay.
Which wedding would you rather have been a guest at? Matthias Ekholm or Philip Forsberg?
Okay, this is a great question. I almost wrote this one down.
Ooh.
I would go, first of all, I would have gone to either one of them because I am delighted for both. And I love weddings. I'm a sap for weddings. I personally would have gone to Matthias Ekholm's because he is my Swedish brother. And, there is nothing I don't want to celebrate with Matthias Ekholm. But Philip Forsberg's party was no slouch either. But I would have gone to Ecky's just because, they are my people. I
mean, 2 words, French Castle.
Oh, please.
How do you not say no to Forsberg in that case? I mean, Ekholm's look fun as hell too. Like it was like it looked like out in the woods,
outdoors.
Like a woodsy, kind of very Swedish wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you turn down a French castle?
Who hasn't been to a wedding at a French castle? I mean, come on. You've been to one, you've been to them all.
Yeah, my mistake. Yeah. I forgot that's kind of the default for weddings here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
I mean, I did have, in fact, a balloon bride and groom at my wedding. So I know about high class castle-like weddings. So, I mean, potato. Yeah. No, both would have been so fun. I will say this, the Forsberg's reception looked so fun. Like she had she looked beautiful. Of course, she's a lovely, lovely girl. She had a darling, fun reception dress with high top sneakers. And I'm like, you're getting ready to break it down. And I could have tore it up on the dance floor with the Forsbergs, but I still would have gone to the Ekholms. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Happy for them all. For them all.
Mazel tov. So those are takes from a hat. This is always one of our favorite things. I'm sure we will do more of these throughout the year. Be sure you're watching Locked On Predators every single day. And where can the people find your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at AnnK, Mama on Ice, and I will be launching a new website coming up next week. So that will be coming soon.
Foreshadowing in a tease. I'm Nick Morgan. You can find me at ontheforecheck.com. Follow me on Twitter at _NSMorgan. And while you're there, be sure to follow the podcast at LO_Predators. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Helps other people find this content much, much easier. That's going to do it for us today on the Locked On Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listening of the day. As always, we'll be back next week with all new episodes. Have a great weekend, everybody.